last phase that we're looking at here in this thoracic arrangement is Shaoyan, which is bladder 15, which is the heart shoe point. I guess I should write spleen here. So the Shaoyan represents the heart and the kidney, and according to the 5th chapter of the Ling Shu, it's the pivot. And for anybody who's practicing Chinese medicine, the idea that the heart and the kidney is the pivot is, I think, fairly, you get it. you get that idea. That in a sense, Shaoyan, oh, I can't spell Shaoyan. Shaoyan, it's S-H-A-O. Shaoyan is the central core, right, that runs between the heart and the kidney, and therefore is related to sort of other concepts of centrality, such as the Chongmai. Right? We've got another way of looking at energy arrangement in the body, which is the 8 extraordinary channels, and the very centermost channel, the Chongmai, has some relationship to the Shaoyan. In fact, that relationship is explicitly stated in the Nanjing, that the Chongmai and the Shaoyan have a like a paired meeting kind of relationship. They're essentially analogous. So if we look at this arrangement of these organs, we do realize that we have another organ to put in here, which is the diaphragm, which is not part of the classic arrangement of the Wu Zhang Liu Fu, the 5 Zhang and the 6 Fu. It's not part of the Wu Zhang. It's not part of the original organ systems. But I'm going to write it in there. And there's an interesting tradition which looks at 5 acupuncture points, a series of 6 acupuncture points, which are considered to be a complete, it's considered to be a complete system of acupuncture points. It's quite ancient, for clearing toxic heat out of the Zhang organs. And that's a series of points which is, let me just identify this one here, 17. Which is based on T3, T5, T7, T9, and T11, right? T3, 5, 7, 9, and 11. And so these points are called San Jiao Zhe Jian, Wu Jiao Zhe Jian, Qi Jiao Zhe Jian, Ju Jiao Zhe Jian, and Shi Jiao Zhe Jian, right? Based on the numbers of the vertebrae. And the numbers are significant because the numbers are odd numbers, and so that represents a way to work with the yang energy. And so these points are used to pull excess toxic yang energy out of the Zhang Fu system. And in this system, it's clear that the diaphragm is one of the essential organs that they're pulling toxic heat out of. And I'm going to argue that the diaphragm point and the region around T6 actually simply also represent the kidney. So that in your thoracic spine, you have all the Zhang organs represented, right? Now, obviously, you can work with the kidney from the lumbar spine, from all those points we talked about yesterday, and in fact, from the entire lumbar spine. But the thoracic spine is actually a recapitulation of the whole yin organ system. So you have a representation of the kidney energy right here, right around this second Shaoyan point. So if you look at this structuring, actually, let me just justify that a little bit more. Okay? So it turns out that there are alternative names for many of these points, and some of the alternative names for the bladder 17 and bladder 16 demonstrate in the naming the same kind of conceptions that go into the naming of kidney points. And I don't have those alternative names in front of me, but I'll pull them up this afternoon. When we look at the points around T6 and T7, we see that the point of bladder 16 right here is considered to rule the dumai, right? Right here, 16 is dumai. Dumai is as we mentioned yesterday, the spinal channel, right? And the du-channel is considered to be ruled in many ways by the kidney. And we talked yesterday about the embryological position of the kidney and this very deep connections of the embryological stages of the kidney with all of the different aspects of the back shoe point system. So to have the rulership of the entire system be right there is kind of fascinating to me. Right? It suggests to me an energetic entry point, which is where I go back to this embryological idea of how the heart and the septum transversum come down and land right there. And that, in my understanding, is that entry point, right around T6 and so on. What we also notice is that the diaphragm shoe point, bladder 17, is also the influential point of blood. So if it's actually somewhat related to kidney, and I'm just going to slip it in there, kidney, then we're thinking about kidney at the level of the heart, right? We're not thinking about kidney at the level of your anatomical kidneys and that process, but we're thinking about what is the Shaoyin kidney function at the level of the heart, and of course that function has some relationship, presumably, to your blood, because it's fluid, it's liquid, it's water, it's fire-infused water, but it is a water function, just the same way that the dumai with the cerebrospinal fluid in it and so on is also considered a kidney function. So I'm gonna suggest to you that when you're working on patients, you can access all of the Zhang organs from the thoracic spine, including the kidney. And what we know from looking at the back shoe point system and analyzing it is that the thoracic spine, maybe down to L2, tends to reflect the Shen more, right? Whereas the points of the lumbar spine and the sacrum tend to be not so Shen oriented. So if you're wanting to work on the Shen of somebody's kidney, in addition to working on the kidney shoe, you might want to consider, or if you're looking at the kidney-heart relationship, which we have to look at a lot in Chinese medicine, you might want to consider, I would say, working on bladder 16 for the du channel, or bladder 17 for the blood, because in my understanding, those are also quite connected to the kidney. So in this understanding of the movement of the 6 phases, Shaoyin is our pivot, right? And then moving in and out from that pivot is Zhuiyin, right? And then expanding, in this case expanding inwards, but still expanding sort of up and out there is the tie-in zone. Yeah?
Yeah, I'm having a little bit of difficulty with the, so you describe the Shaoyin as the pivot place.
Well, the 5th chapter of the Ling Shu does.
Okay,
yeah.
so you explained it in that way.
Yeah.
But then you talked about the pillar of the kidney
Yeah.
and the heart.
Right.
So I'm having a hard time with pillars pivoting.
Oh, it's like, you know how
Tell
in a
me.
hinge you've got a
Yes,
you've got
yeah.
that thing
I've
going
got
on?
that, yeah.
That's
so it's
that,
this.
yes.
Aha,
Yeah.
okay,
That's what they mean by pivot.
okay.
So if you put it into a sort of 3D kind of
Right,
model,
right.
and it's just a swelling
Yes.
in towards it, swelling out from it. And actually in the 5th chapter of the Ling Shu specifically talks about the analogy of a hinge on a gate
Mm-hmm.
to
Right.
explain it. Yeah.
Right. I couldn't see it with a pillar.
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
that's exactly-